golden age of absolutely forgettable content. And AI is just pouring jet fuel onto that fire. And that not only means that you have great news and it's something special, but it also means that you're in the inner circle. You've been told, you know. And I wanted to work with brands that not only wanted to feel that way about me, but they wanted me to help them feel that way about their clients. There's just really no connective tissue holding it all together. And what I'm hearing from people is how concerned they are that they don't really even know how to measure what their teams are doing. They don't even know what to tell their teams to be doing. We shouldn't be using AI is like not using a typewriter, or like not, or thinking, we'll go ahead and have a purist business without computers. Put pressure on people. Nobody wants to work like that. So put the pressure on the systems.
Welcome to What Keeps Marketers Up at Night, the show where we unpack what's keeping modern CMOs, growth leads, and marketing ops folks awake and occasionally make them laugh about it. I'm Jeff Spinella from Darwin, where we help teams turn marketing chaos into reliable systems that actually work. Today, I'm joined by Priscilla McKinney. Priscilla is the CEO and mama bird of Little Bird Marketing, where she not only leads an amazing team that provides top-notch content marketing solutions and strategic insights to her fantastic group of clients, but also hosts both the Ponders from the Perch podcast and the Digital Transformation Success podcast. Little Bird Marketing is an award-winning digital agency that serves revenue-minded leaders, and their strategic approach turns marketing chaos into clarity. Priscilla, welcome to the show.
Hi, it's so nice to be on with fellow podcasters. And before we even start, if you like this podcast, can you please go do Jeff a favor and give him a 5-star rating somewhere? This is a labor of love, people. This is hard to do, and you need to give him a little bit of love today.
Really appreciate that. Thank you so much. We could definitely use it for sure. So why don't we start, though, Priscilla, with you sharing just a little bit more about yourself and your background, anything I might have missed there from that intro?
No, you covered it pretty well. She sounds awesome. So I hope I live up to I hope I lived up to that standard. But I'm really a little bit quirky of a marketer. My background is in cultural anthropology. And so I love the way humans work. And so I bring that into everything that I do in marketing. I like to think about the old adage, show me the incentive, I'll show you the behavior. And I like to think about that in marketing too. Are we sure we're putting the best message out in order to incent the behavior we really want from clients? And it seems like that seems really basic, but actually I find a lot of people just start doing marketing and aren't thinking about the larger system. So that's a little bit of my background, just being a cultural anthropologist, where I feel like I bring a little bit more of the humanness of what we're trying to do in terms of behaviors with our marketing work.
Absolutely. And what a unique background it is. I feel as if it's so relevant to being successful in marketing, right? Because if you don't have a good understanding of how people think, how they operate, how they behave, either nowadays or historically, you're going to be having a little bit of a challenge here compared to someone like you who maybe has a little bit more of that understanding. So you have a very unique brand, a very unique story. I would love to hear, and for those who haven't checked out Priscilla's website, Little Bird Marketing, Google it, littlebirdmarketing.com. Yep, pretty simple, straightforward. There are a lot of amazing things on that site, a lot of amazing text and copy. We'll get to that. But quite a unique story for Priscilla and her company. On there, you talk about having survived an EF5 tornado, and your studio burning down. I would love to hear a little bit more about both of those stories.
Yeah. 2011 was a hard time. I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I have a couple of other businesses going, but Little Bird Marketing is my primary one. And at that time, it wasn't called Little Bird Marketing. EF5 tornado rolled into Joplin, took about 35% of our town out in about 22 minutes. It was a rough year. I just, it's hard to talk about sometimes, but 3 weeks later, my creative studio burned to the ground, and it was an opportunity because I had actually bought the leasehold improvements from another gal. It was called Grow Marketing at the time. And so I had begun operating it, maybe a year and a half. And it burning down gave me an opportunity. And believe me, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. On the other hand, I see so many bright spots in those moments. And I think anybody who's struggled or been through difficult times always comes out saying that if they've really been able to then champion their true selves. And I saw it as an opportunity to rebrand and really make it my own. And my vision of that was that I would have fewer clients. We would be a boutique agency and we would really know them. They would be a part of our flock and it would, be something special. And I named it Little Bird Marketing because when you have great news to share, you start by saying, a little birdie told me. And that not only means that you have great news and it's something special, but it also means that you're in the inner circle. You've been told, And I wanted to work with brands that not only wanted to feel that way about me, but they wanted me to help them feel that way about their clients. And so that's where Little Bird Marketing was born from.
Incredible story. And I love the back meaning on all that too. Sometimes we come up with, well, what's the most eye-catching or ear-catching name, or just what's the first A in the alphabet that'll be the top of the list. The extra thoughts here really matters, and I think that speaks truly to the work you do with your clients, right, and how you approach the type of work you do for them, right?
Yeah, but there was that era of Portlandia where just put a bird on it, and that seemed to be what every brand was doing. So, there was a little more thought going into mine, and then of course my podcast follows the branding. It's Ponderings from the Perch. It's kind of where I sit and what I see. Our office here is called The Nest. We have an amazing neon sign out on Main Street, USA here that really kind of we feel the brand and the peeps that are our employees. That's we just have a lot of fun with it, and I think it does lend itself to helping people understand that we are a little bit quirky and that we want to be a different flock. We want to be different.
Absolutely. And having fun with it is almost a lost art, I feel like, nowadays. So it's great to see someone like you with an organization, a team, a company like yours, an agency like yours that still has some fun and it shows in the work, I'm sure. If I could really transition here to the theme of this podcast, which feels, a little bit sad here because it's a little bit more of a sadder one. But what is keeping you up at night this week when it comes to, let's say, the marketing world in general, or really anything?
Yeah. Well, what I hear day and night is that, potential clients and clients are coming to me. They have teams, they have marketers. And at this point, they're not sure what marketing should be. It has changed so much. You think about, the digital era, and then now in the AI era, people are so damn confused. And, it is like when we went from, yellow book marketing to, in the yellow pages to now being everything online. That was so disruptive. Well, AI is just as equally disruptive right now. And I think what is keeping people up at night is the age old being unsure what particular marketing tactics are working or actions should be done, right? And people are investing a lot of money into marketing, and a lot of marketing is getting done. But to me, it amounts to a lot of random acts of marketing. Put a blog here, put a social post. I see my competitor did this trade show, so we need to do it. And, there's just really no connective tissue holding it all together. And what I'm hearing from people is how concerned they are that they don't really even know how to measure what their teams are doing. They don't even know what to tell their teams to be doing. And so when all of that to me means there's no system. And so what keeps me up at night is me making sure when I bring a new client in that we are setting a system together. We need a system that we know what tasks are being done. We know when they're being done. We know what we can measure and what we can't. We need to know what the measurements are that we're trying to achieve so we know when we can improve. But you definitely cannot sleep soundly anymore if you don't know that your marketing is working while you're asleep. So I think that's what's helping. It's just causing a lot of consternation. And I'm not joking. It's from small clients that I have to $220 million clients who turn to me and say, not sure what our marketing company is doing, or not sure what our marketing team is doing. Can you help? And literally there's not strategy behind it. Maybe one day long ago, there was some strategy, but the strategy has been lost and now people are just doing marketing. That's a nightmare.
Yeah, it sounds like, and one of the biggest challenges that I hear or fears or whatever it may be from marketers is how do I make myself known as someone who contributes to the bottom line in the company? And how do you connect that marketing team to revenue, right?
You say that like it's just so obvious, but I am telling you, there are still so many marketers out there just doing marketing. I'm
Yeah.
not interested in doing marketing for someone. I'm interested in helping them grow their business. And if they don't know their numbers, they should not call me. So
Agreed. Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's things like what metrics matter, right? And I'm sure you can get into much more depth of this, but things like traffic to your website. Well, it could be great, but it could also be a vanity metric if people aren't converting. And I know this is something you work with a lot of clients on. I'm curious if I can dig into a little bit more as well. The breadth of clients that you have. I'm sure that it's not a one size fits all solution for each one, right? Every client and every state of their marketing team, when they come to you, as doing different things, and maybe some things well and some things others, but there's no panacea of this is the structure that every company could have. Am I right about that?
No, I don't agree with that. I actually think that no matter what you do and no matter at what scale you do it, there are some things that need to be put into a structure, and the outcome is going to be very different. So yes, to your point, I think it's always going to look differently, but everybody needs to go back to some basics. And here, for any of your listeners, this is something they can crib from me. I made this system called the SOAR system. Of course, it's on brand because we're birds, but it's SOAR, and you can crib it. You never have to work with me. But S is strategy. First, what is your strategy? Who is your ideal client? What keeps them up at night? Let's ask some questions like that. What are they in pain over? And so starting there with the strategy, and then the next thing is organization. So is your plan organized? And organization means, do we know what order we're putting things in? And that's a real key point, because I think a lot of people are probably doing the right marketing tactics, but they're not doing them in the right order. So we get things organized, like look at what assets you already have. Quit making new stuff. Like, what do you have that's genius? It just hasn't been distributed properly. So we organize all that. We do an asset audit, and we think really clearly about the organization. But then it's the accountability, A for accountability. And what that means is that after we agree to the strategy and we start organizing it, people go, oh, also we should do this. Oh, and then, our competitor's going to this trade show. We're going to do this or that. And I'm like, whoa. We're going to have to hold things accountable. Is it a part of our strategy? Can we organize it? And organization also means a very sober assessment of your bandwidth. So I might be able to say, hey, I'm going to assign this to Jeff, but does Jeff have time to do this? Is that realistic? So that's where the strategy moves into the organization, moves into the accountability, and then we get the R, which is repeatability. Did we put what measurements, like you said, metrics that matter, in place so that, 6 months, a year from now, we know what things we should stop doing and what we can double down on? And I got to tell you, that stop doing is a key. I think a lot of people keep piling more and more things. Let's do more with marketing. No, how about we do less? And how about we do the few things that really matter? So I hope your audience can crib that from me and think just for a moment about their own marketing structure and say, are we strategic? Have we organized things? Are we being held accountable to the strategy and the organization? And then are we making sure that we're only going to do actions and repeat things that actually worked? So that, to me, I don't care if you're selling fire hydrants or if you're selling $250,000, pricing research strategies. To me, you have to do that same work.
Absolutely. And that's a very interesting way of looking at it. And it sounds obvious when you say it, but it's not. I'm sure of that, because I've worked at companies before where we look at a competitor and competitor's doing this. So we must be doing this.
Right, but you don't know if they're losing their shorts on it.
This is true. This is true. Or they have more staff than we do and more bandwidth. Or maybe there's every situation is unique.
Yeah.
That's an amazing little nugget of great strategy there for anybody. And of course, I'm sure that you can get much more granular with that, but we'll save that for your clients. You talked about bandwidth being one of those important things to look at, and if I can transition to something that is very of the time, AI, as we know, something that's supposed to help everybody have more bandwidth or at least do more with less. I'm curious, what AI tools personally do you use, and how do you use them?
Gosh, we use tons. Claude is absolutely our number one. We have paid accounts where we have completely firewalled each individual client into its own account. And we have uploaded just tons of winning data. And it's their proprietary data. And so we don't train the LLMs with it, but we have all of the strategy from their unique value proposition to the way they talk about things, words that we don't want it to use, blogs that have really won traffic or, lead magnets that have converted. We put everything that is winning into that database. And then we use that to query for answers. That's just really like takes time down. Inevitably, you got to go back to a client and say, hey, what did you say about this? Or how do you handle this? Guess what? If you have it in Claude and you've already asked it before, then everybody on your team can go query that and usually get it right. I'd say 85 to 95% of the time. So Claude is probably our number one, but my gosh, my creative team uses tons of things. And even things that aren't necessarily originally AI. You and I both use Riverside, but then AI tools are embedded in Riverside, so we have some there. ChatGPT we use a little bit more, just kind of freewheeling, quick questions and things like that. But then we automate all kinds of things with AI. So we use webhooks once we're done with something in any AI tool. We've built several webhooks where we can say, okay, input this information. Okay, now from all of this, I need you to create a Google Doc, create this Trello card, create that, like on and on. What are all the things that we used to do manually? And so, yeah, there's like AI, whether it's an AI tool direct or AI features inside other tools that we've loved forever, like Zapier. Oh my gosh, their AI tool now. We used to have to create those Zapier workflows and automate this stuff. And we're like, how do I build this? How do I build this? Now it's like practically builds it for you. It's just so wonderful. So yeah, we're like up to here with AI tools and just absolutely love them.
And it's very important too, I think, to know that, as I already mentioned, your copy on your website is very unique and authentic, and I'm sure you use some AI tools to help in certain pieces. But and we'll come back to this later because I do have a question about this, about having unique voice. But it just goes to show that you can have that authentic voice, you can have that authentic feel as a brand, while still using some tools that are AI tools. You don't necessarily have to use them for some, let's say, creative things. You can use it for other things too. You can use it for creative. Personally, I love Lovable, but I would never use a final design from there. So, there are ways to use these things and still keep the integrity of your work, while also cutting down on some time and note taking and things like that, so that everybody has that alignment.
Oh my goodness, the note taking and then just the the recaps of meetings that we were in. That is, that alone. I just recently got a job as a fractional CMO for a very large company. And I had 20 hours of listening tour of, listening to people on the team. And they were just wonderful, dynamic conversations. Well, you better believe I recorded them all and basically used the AI summary tool for them, because how on earth was my brain going to hold 20 hours of interviews? I couldn't. And it was just so lovely. I was able to spend additional hours after querying it. And it's like, oh, remember so-and-so said this to you. Oh, so-and-so said this. Well, that's actually this person who does this. And it was magic, really. And so we're just getting so much more done in a meaningful way. That one thing, that dumb note taker, it's just, really has helped a lot.
It is. I can't tell you how many hours I spent scribbling on a piece of paper and trying to read it later because my handwriting is terrible. It is a game changer. I'm curious as well, though. We're speaking here about a little bit of marketing and how they use AI. When clients come to you, I'm sure maybe I'm wrong again about this, but it depends on the client. How, if at all, do you advise them in employing AI in their marketing strategy or content creation strategy or whatever it may be?
Well, I have clients who send me something here. We want this project, and we went to ChatGPT and we thought about it. And here's some notes that we think are pretty good. And like, what do you think of this? And then they send them to us. And I'm like, great. We're going to put them through our AI, and we're also going to bring our expertise to the. Listen, I mean, not using AI or pretending like we shouldn't be using AI is like not using a typewriter, or like
Right.
not, or thinking, oh, we'll go ahead and have a purist business without computers. Well, good luck, But all these people who kind of decry AI for use in creative, I don't see them, coming to work on a horse. They adopted the car long ago. And, so to me, I'm just kind of like, I just don't even understand that weird Luddite, conversation. But yeah, you need to be transparent about it with your clients because they are using it, but they're not using it very well, to be honest. And even if every single one of my clients were in this room, I would still say that out loud. And they would say, yeah, I know. But we have spent the time to really figure out what things AI is good at right now, which changes every day. And really to be able to stay true to the strategy and the revenue generation needs of our clients and then use AI as a servant to that. So yeah, clients are using it and I would advise them to use it. And I actually give them good advice about how to improve how they're using it. But the other thing is, sometimes we're paid to set things up for a team that's really, effective use of AI. And there's a big difference. I mean, just opening AI and then effective use of it right now, there's just so much room in between.
Yeah, and there's a huge difference between a beginner and an intermediate and advanced user of these tools, right?
Yeah, and one day there may not be, but right now there really is.
Yeah. You can do much more than just type in, hey, can you rewrite this sentence for me? AI is great for that. If you like the way it outputs and you can talk with it, but there's so many other things you can do. I agree. I'm curious here to maybe bring in a little bit more old school. We at Darwin work more on the technical marketing intersection. So a lot of our clients use tons of martech tools, thousands and thousands of them. And, there's HubSpot as an integration, there's Sixth Sense, and there's Crazy Egg, you name it. A lot of this is related to the website and your general marketing outreach online. I'm curious, and I know it might be unique to your team and that you have to be boutique agency as well, or maybe not. What marketing tools or martech tools do you choose? How do you actually know what's worth keeping and worth using, and what's just adding to the noise, as we talked about earlier, something that you may not actually need?
Yeah, that's interesting. First of all, I'll give a plug and a shout out to a really great friend of mine, Z Johnson, and I can send you her LinkedIn link. But she's a really great consultant who can help you look through martech and figure out if it really is good for you. Because just because everybody's using it, it doesn't necessarily mean it's good for you. But for us, we're a platinum HubSpot shop, and so that's our preference. But we have clients who come to us and we run our other programs like our revenue sprints or we run our SOAR program, and they already have something else in place. I'm working with a client right now who has Marketo. God help us all. Another client of mine has Pardot. So, whatever they have, the idea is to make sure that they're maximizing what they have. Now, if I get a choice, I had a lovely kickoff meeting with a new client this morning, and it turns out they are using HubSpot and they're using Zoom for a webinar, and they're like, it went down the line of everything that I use. I was like, thank you. This is going to be easy. But it's not my job to preach the particular, kinds of martech, but it is my job to know which ones would be good for which situations. And again, to my earlier point is, the best kind of martech is the kind of martech your team will use. So the usage is the bigger issue for me. They need to really be deep in usage, even if it's the least ideal, piece of software. If your team knows it and knows it intimately, and there's a lot of value to that. So I'm very hesitant to just move people off things. And I, as much as I love HubSpot, I don't bleed orange. That's not what my job is. I'm here to be agnostic and I'm here to put my client first. But yeah, for us internally, we're HubSpot. We're major Trello users. I am like an aficionado. They don't pay me to say it, and we live and die by the Trello board. So Trello, Zoom is what we use for for our webinars and for our meetings. And then we use Riverside for all of our podcasts and kind of down the line. But I'm always happy to have a conversation with people about what we use or, we also serve the market research industry. And so there's a lot of res tech, research tech out there that we like to employ as well.
Mm-hmm. And you hit on maybe something I was going to ask next. If you could rebuild that stack, sounds like you're very happy with HubSpot, with Zoom, with Trello. Obviously, I love Trello too. It's so easy. It's free for the basic versions. It's not too crazy expensive after that. I know you have a ton of experience with other platforms too. Would you stick with exactly what you had if you had an opportunity and a limited budget to add as many tools or platform items?
Yes, I would. However, if anybody has a better idea that costs a little bit less than HubSpot, then call me. But I have yet to have someone say, a lot of times I get laughed at, like, oh, it's so expensive. You're so dumb for using it. I'm like, great, show me the thing. Like, what else am I supposed to be using? And inevitably, there are things missing from it. So, I'm good where I'm at. And that's not really just a passing statement. I have really looked in depth. And as you know, from all my other clients, I'm in a lot of the other systems and they're a bit difficult to use.
I empathize what you said about Marketo. Having had tons of experience with clients using Marketo over the years, it's not so fun. But nothing against Marketo. I wish them all well.
Yeah. But I have other clients on MailChimp, or there's like Pipedrive, or they're on things, and a lot of times they are smart. Like they got them at certain times. They're at certain levels, and it wouldn't really make sense to move them over to the cost of HubSpot. But for me, I have the enterprise version on HubSpot, and we use it full tilt. So it makes sense. I just say to people, don't buy the full tilt product if you're not going to use it to that degree. Yeah. That makes no sense.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. I said earlier I was going to come back to this. Come back to it now. The website, it's amazing. I'm sure this goes throughout all your socials, all your campaigns, everywhere. Your LinkedIn as well. It's very amazing, unique copy, witty, very funny. But you're staying true as well to conveying that message about the impact you have for your clients, or about staying true to yourself and what you care about, and all the different channels you may be speaking to folks here, you as a company or you personally, I'm sure. I'm curious, how important do you think it is for brands nowadays, especially with all the AI generated slop out there, to have that authentic voice in whatever type of content they're putting out?
Oh, well, I mean, it's everything at this point. We are living in the golden age of absolutely forgettable content. And AI is just pouring jet fuel onto that fire, in my opinion, right? But AI isn't the problem. The forgettable content is the problem. And I like to remind people that if you're writing for everyone, which is what a lot of marketers try and do, you're essentially writing for no one. That fear that you have that you're alienating somebody with a specific point of view is what's creating this ocean of forgettable content, right? And sadly, we're just all drowning in it. And my job is, for Little Bird marketing, is to be true to the Little Bird marketing voice. It's quirky, it's weird, it references David Bowie on a regular basis, whatever. There's a little Freddie Mercury, sprinkled in there. We like to talk about Dadaism and whatever. But, the reality is that you have to find whatever voice that is and then amplify it. And it's not my job when clients come to me to little birdify them. That's not what we do. Don't come to me, oh, you just need a quirky voice. Okay, that's not what we do. My job is to take all of their assets and amplify theirs. Now, there's a few clients that we've had over the years that like our quirky voice and want that represented. We've been able to do that with them, and it's been very fun. But to me, it's not always about quirk. That's not necessarily what everybody needs. And I definitely want to give a shout out to Leighton Cordell. He's been with me well over a decade, and he is a fantastic writer. He is a musician too, and has written the theme tune to Ponderings from the Perch, and played it and whistled it, and just an amazing creative. But he and I really write for the Little Bird marketing voice. And it's at the point now where we know it so well, and we've created such a great tone of voice Bible that sometimes he writes things and I'm reading it and I have to call him and say, did you write this or did I write it? I just don't know anymore. And that, to me, that's like where we're winning. I just love that. And if you can tell on your blog or on your thought leadership pieces or, in your marketing copy, if you can tell who wrote it, you've got a problem.
Yeah. Very good message there for folks. It's not just guessing. You need a very strict rule and structure behind right, your tone of voice Bible. Want to wrap up here with something that has a little bit of levity to it, hopefully now after time has passed. We like to ask folks about what is the biggest nightmare story they have professionally. And I was wondering if you have one that maybe you could share.
Oh, I travel a lot. And so I probably have a lot of nightmare stories. But I do remember one time getting to Chicago and not having a backup teleprompter. And for those of you who use teleprompters and actually travel and are, capturing video, you're probably saying shame on me for not having a backup. But when that two-way mirror breaks that actually makes the teleprompter work, let me tell you, even in a city like Chicago, you cannot find someone who has that piece of glass. So that was a real nightmare because here we're turning around and filming the next day, and every single script that we have, you've got like 30 different people who are doing scripts, and the place is rented out, the lighting's all in, the travel crew is here, and one little piece. So yeah, that's a moment I think I like to forget. But and in fact, I probably blacked it out so much because I don't even remember what we did.
I was going to ask that. Yeah. How did you solve the problem?
I don't know. I'd have to ask Corey, who's my videographer, again, someone who's been with me forever. But yeah, you got to learn how to roll with the punches. These things are funny later, but certainly I learned from there to have a backup teleprompter.
Yes, and something that I did not know until today. So thank you for that. I will take that with me the first time I use a teleprompter. So just to wrap up here, I was wondering if you have any final thoughts or anything you want to share with the audience here before we do sign off.
Yeah, I think one thing I like to say at Little Bird Marketing is you need to be sure that you're putting pressure on systems and not on people. And I think that's really important with marketing. I think it's about that system coming back and saying, did you actually say what strategy you wanted? Did you actually organize it with the team? Did you put in place ways that they can be held accountable for it? And do we know what we're working for? What are the stats? What are we trying to, what are the numbers that we need to see so that we can repeat things? And what I find is that people don't institute that, and then they expect people in their group just to figure that out. And then you put pressure on people. Nobody wants to work like that. So put the pressure on the systems, have amazing SOPs. Look, if you're going to write a blog, writing a blog is not one thing. Writing a blog is 32 things at Little Bird Marketing. The first thing is which persona are we writing for? Next thing is what of the questions that they've been asking do we want to answer in this blog? Next thing is what keywords can we find? Okay, so you can see that there's just a lot to do. Okay, well, quit acting like it's one thing. And instead, if you've done it once, which if you want written a blog once, you're going to write it again, get that same checklist and do it over and over again the same way. Of course, there's going to be one little difference, or, hey, I want to get a pull quote, or I want to do a fun graphic for this, or add a video. Of course, there's always one thing you can add on, but that standard operating procedure, I am so amazed at how many marketing teams do not have SOPs for some of the most basic things they do day in and day out. And all that does is frustrate people, hurt teams, and eventually you don't get results. So put pressure on systems, not on people.
Well said. It's been amazing having you here, Priscilla. Priscilla McKinney, Little Bird Marketing, littlebirdmarketing.com if you want to reach out. Truly had a wonderful conversation with you here today. Thank you again for joining the podcast.
Absolutely. And I was serious about the 5-star review, so make sure you give it to Jeff. But thanks so much for having me on, Jeff. I really appreciate it.
Of course. And likewise for both of Priscilla's podcasts as well that I mentioned at the beginning. So you've been listening to What Keeps Marketers Up at Night, brought to you by Darwin, the team that helps CMOs finally trust their data and sleep a little better. Subscribe, share, and get some rest. You've earned it.